Happy Monday to you, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm kind of continuing on with a few videos here talking about equipment. We've been over retractable leashes recently. We talked about poop bags yesterday. You've got to have those darn things, but where you store them is really important and can also have a major impact from a negative standpoint on your training if you hang them off your leash. Today I want to talk about head harnesses. Yeah, head harnesses. I found in my career that when I've met people and dog owners that use these, it's because they have some sort of aversion to using a regular compression collar, a prong collar, a remote training collar. So they settle for the head harness, and sometimes you hear them called gentle leaders because it's one of the major brands that sells the type of device that we're about to demonstrate right here. Is it a good tool or is it a bad tool? Well, a couple things I found out about these things. Again, we don't use them here. I'm personally not a big fan of them, and here's a couple of reasons why. Number one, when you get one of these, in their defense, they're going to give you massive amount of instructions on how to even just put it on. And we're going to demonstrate this here in a second with Joshua and his dog Alpine. This is a dog that's going to cooperate. Probably we'll find out what happens once it gets on. But man, there is a lot to do to put these on and put them on correctly. So make sure you follow the instructions. But because you spend all that time putting this on your dog, adjusting that little nose strap, then putting this over the dog's muzzle of the nose, and then adjusting this little buckle here, hooking up your leash here, then you take it off when you finish taking your dog for a walk or finish doing your dog's training. I'm telling you what, that is as obvious as night and day to a dog. And we have to be very careful about setting up conditions in which leash on, head harness on, you're this type of dog. Leash off, head harness off, oh, you become this other dog, this undesirable dog. Dogs learn. They learn go through their whole world comparing one environment to the other, one stimulus to the other, one signal to the other. This is night and day, and you may find out very quickly that you have a Jekyll and Hyde situation when it comes to head harnesses in your dog. So watch out for that. That's one of the things that we've seen. Another thing is that when we put this on Alpine, you'll see that the nose portion of the gentle leader rides high on the muzzle. And again, getting that perfect fit requires a dog who sits perfectly still. And even then, good luck. These things loosen. This little strap will loosen. And then when that happens, it'll start to either A, ride up and get very close to the dog's eyes, way up high on the muzzle, irritating the eyes, irritating the lower eyelids, or it'll be so loose that when your dog dips his head, off it comes. So that's another little thing that I have a problem with. Third thing, it looks like a muzzle. Kid you not, most people that I've interviewed in the past, when they first saw a dog wearing one of these, or they did not know what it was, their first assumption was a muzzle. And then, of course, they're going, oh, my God, why is the dog muzzled? Why is this dog muzzled? Do I need to be worried about this dog? And then they start to change their behavior. They change the behavior with their dog. They pull their dog out of the way. And when that happens, there's going to be a response and a reaction from the other dog wearing the head harness. What the heck's going on here? Again, I told you before, out in the wild, if there is fear, whether it is fear on the prey that you're stalking or fear among one of your pack members, it doesn't matter. If there is fear, then there is the perception that there is danger nearby. Yeah, and you got to pay attention to danger. And dogs will do exactly that. They'll always pay attention to danger. So again, just the misperception that people have. When they see these, because it's going over the dog's muzzle, they think muzzle, which then makes them think aggression, which then makes them think, oh my God, let me just get the heck out of the way of that dog. So again, it's just a cascading effect. We want to be careful with that. It's just throwing it out there. Another thing is the learning and conditioning phase here. When you first put this on your dog, I did it on Captain yesterday. He's never had one on in his life. So yesterday, I'm practicing with this thing. I'm putting it over Captain. You guys have all seen him. Oh my gosh. He didn't flinch a muscle. And it wasn't because he's this really cool dog and really obedient dog. He froze out of uncertainty. He froze out of fear. He had these big wide eyes. I wish I caught him on a video. I apologize. I just wasn't doing two things at the same time. But his ears were back, his eyes were wide, and he just had this look like, Bryan, it's okay, right? This thing you're putting on is going to be okay, right? And I'm like, dude, it's fine. You're doing great, man. You're doing great. I put it on him 5 times. And finally, about the 5th time, he did start to relax a little bit. So expect to go through that with your dog as well. Animals who do not know what something is. Confusion with animals, the response is either A, I'm going to ignore it entirely, or I'm going to try to avoid it. And that's what Captain was trying to do. He was trying to avoid it, but he's just holding that sit because I'm sitting there telling him, sit and don't move. So he was a good boy, but man, he really did not want this on his face. And then, of course, as soon as I put it on his face, guess what happened? Immediately, get that off. I don't know what that is, but get that off. He's pawing at it. He's trying to get it off. He was able to successfully do so. And then when he got it off, he grabbed it with his mouth, and he was going to destroy this thing. He was going to make sure that this one never went on him again. And then I thought, well, maybe it was the color, because this is kind of pink. Maybe he can't just go, dude, I would have handled the black one, but you put a pink one on me. Well, it's the only color I could get. So anyway, supplies are limited. You guys are probably finding that out while we're going through this virus situation. Dang, supplies can be limited on a lot of your favorite things, and I'm telling you what, only color I could get. Okay, so that being said, one final thing. It can be a bit of a hassle. It just can. When you grab these devices here, they can become entangled. Mine did yesterday. I just balled it up. Guess you're not supposed to do that. Threw it in my backpack, and when I got here today, it was like a knot. And back in the military, we used to say, if you don't know a knot, tie a lot. And the way that people untied Bryan's knots was with a knife. I almost went and got a knife and said, forget this, we're going to have another Facebook Live today. But those are just some of the things that I've seen with it. I have, on the positive side, obviously, once people got past all of that, I have seen dogs walk very well with these. Okay, I have. Some people swear by them. And if you're one of those people, if it ain't broke, don't go breaking it. You just keep using it. And if you want to try it, hey, I've told you before, that's how smart mammals learn. They learn through free exploration. Let you learn through your own self-discovery, you and your dog. Give it a shot. Maybe it'll work for you. But on the other side, one thing that, and I almost forgot about this, one of the most important things that you and I talked about, and this is Joshua, by the way, you guys all know him. We talked about this right before we aired, was how we have seen clients using these, and then just being at parks and so on and so forth. We've seen heads, because again, as soon as we put this on Alpine, you'll see how tight it goes over the muzzle. We've seen heads violently jerked to the side. Now, it's one thing if you compress a neck, the strongest part on a dog's body, like a thigh muscle, that's one thing. But when you violently pull a head to the side, whether the dog does it to itself by jerking forward, lunging forward, and then getting caught up short, but have no doubt that's what this device does. It pulls your dog's head at a severe angle, hopefully making it uncomfortable enough that you don't want to proceed on with the behavior you're currently doing. You want to cause an immediate disruption in that undesired behavior. But we have seen that. We've seen heads pulled violently down towards the ground. I've seen dogs come in with sores, missing fur, scars. I mean, permanent scars. They're never going to go away from using this. So again, they do work for some people, and this is all about you learning through your own self-discovery. I just simply wanted to point out the downsides of it, and there's so many of them. It's just why we just don't bother with it. I've just had way too much success with other tools other than this. But Joshua, if you would, I'm going to hand this thing to you, untie it so you don't have to break out a knife and cut my head halter here. And if you would, put this on Alpine. Now, Alpine has never had this on before. So guys, you're looking at the real deal. Alpine is a dog owned by Joshua. So he's kind of cooperating right there. And first thing he's doing is adjusting the strap around the neck. Adjusting the strap. You'll want to make sure that you do that, because if the nose ring comes off, that's all you will have. This thing will be immediately reduced to just a snap collar. a non-compression snap collar. So when you fit this thing on, make sure the neck strap is nice and snug. Okay, and then the nose strap goes, of course, over the nose. And you can see how high it rides up on the dog. Now, there's a second adjustment that has to be done. There's a ring underneath, and there's a little black clip. If Evan can get a good shot of that, Joshua will have to slide that up until it's very snug. Now, again, it's got to be snug enough to where if your dog shakes his head, turns his head, dips his head down towards the ground, it's not just going to slide off. All right, and then that little snap, pay attention to that snap. You've got to work it. It will fool you. You will think that snap is completely functioning. It snapped it all the way, but it will not be. Make sure when you press that, it goes all the way down. Okay, and now Joshua is going to hook up his leash to the ring. All right, so now let's just kind of check this whole thing out. As you can see there, Alpine was kind of like Captain. He didn't seem as worried as Captain. But again, not a whole lot bothers Alpine. But let's see how this thing works. All right, Joshua, try and start walking around with your dog.
Yep.
All right, so far so good.
Very good.
Okay, a couple little paws at the face. To be expected.
There we go. Yeah.
All right, now put a little pressure on, Joshua.
Come on, buddy. There you go.
So anyone that starts with one of these, I would wager good money that you're going to have to deal with this part right here. Dogs, the muzzle of an animal is an extremely sensitive area. It has a turbinating scroll in it. That's how they break down a scent to a periodic table. Think of it like little membranes that resemble Pringles, like a little can of Pringle potato chips. Membrane after membrane after membrane. Anything on that muzzle is going to cause irritation, and you're just going to have to work through that over and over again. Work it through. You can do like Joshua's doing, stopping for a second, trying to distract the dog with a treat. So it turns into a wonderful experience, a really good experience. And then go back to work again. One of the things that you'll want to be careful of is you dictate when the stop occurs, not the dog. If Alpine, as you see there, if he's able to claw and fight and resist, as long as he's not endangering himself, if Joshua stops right then of course Alpine, through free exploration, through his own self-discovery, has learned, okay, when this thing starts to bother me too much, I'm just going to claw at it, put my head down, put on the brakes, I'll stop that furthest biped, and then everything will settle down for a second. The irritation will go away because there'll be no tension on that leash. Be careful about your dog learning that, because once that genie's out of the bottle, it's hard to shove that thing back in there again. So let's do it one more time, Joshua.
Yep.
So you want to give your regular commands, heel. If your dog's been trained on a previous device and you switch to a head harness, for whatever reason, maybe your dog's had some injury to its neck. There could be lots of reasons why you'd switch. But again, you're going to want to work through this. You want to give lots of treats, lots of encouragement, lots of petting. Keep working it. You can even give your dog other commands other than walking, which I'm going to have Joshua do here in a second. Let's have him sit and lie down, Joshua. Just distract him a little bit here. Take his mind off of it. Give him something else to think about. There we go. Most of the irritation comes from the moving, but as you can see right here, there's a fold of skin right there. And that fold of skin is being pushed up to his eye by the strap. It can also start to work its way down to the corner of the mouth, making the animal feel like he can't chew properly. All right, now we're starting to move along, and they're starting to come along much nicer. Here we go. All right, cool. Okay, guys, we could spend all day showing you this, but just want to kind of point out some pros behind it. It is a tool that I've seen work very effectively with many, many, many dogs, but I've seen more owners have difficulties with it, have problems with it, and I've seen those who have achieved a great benefit from the device. For some of you, you won't have a choice. There's especially small dogs, older dogs can have trachea issues, all sorts of vertebrae issues in the back of their necks. Tall dogs that have had to eat out of bowls or are low to the ground. Over a period of time, they can develop arthritis in the disc, in the sternum there, right behind the neck. So for many reasons, you may not be able to use a regular collar on your dog's neck. You may have to resort to a head harness, or like we're going to talk about tomorrow, a regular harness that's designed to stop your dog from pulling. So if you got one of those dogs, give that thing a shot. But know this, you're more than likely going to have to go through the steps that we showed today. You're going to have to get your dog used to having this device put on. You're going to have your dog get used to the fact that it's going to pull on a part of its body that is extremely sensitive. You're going to have to work it through. You're going to need a heavy, heavy dose of patience. Give some grace. Don't expect perfection. And just keep on working it. And you'll finally have a dog in which your head harness for your dog will work out perfectly for you. Okay, tomorrow we're going to go over the no pull harness, a specialized harness that allows you to walk your dog without your dog pulling. All right, so that's a new one for me as well. I've seen them, heard about them, seen clients use them. I have never used one. Anytime I ever put any of my dogs in a harness, it was to pull my sled over many kilometers over rough and frozen terrain. So I always think harness equals pull. And we're going to take a look at this thing tomorrow and see how it works, see if it does work. If you got any questions about the head harness, make sure you send them in to me, Bryan with the Y at tamingthewild.com, or drop it down on the feed. There's a million ways to reach any of us here, whether it's me, whether it's Joshua, whether it's Evan who's doing the filming right now. We can all answer your questions for you. But hey, I'm always one of those. Hey, I didn't see any danger happening here. I saw a lot of irritation. He wasn't really happy with it, but he would habituate to it over a period of time. Give it a shot if you think it's right for you. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great training day. Good job, Alpine. Oh, he's not looking so happy.